she told me right away. And so from that point, I kind of took the lead in talking to the coaches, and I made sure to send them an email and let them know what happened, and ask them, to kind of handle the situation. And they assured me they were looking into it. They assured me it was going to be handled. They passed it off to, all these people. And then we just never heard anything else about it, like nothing further about it until we started pressing them.
It's kind of unsettling, and it really makes me contemplate whether I do want to continue with wrestling throughout high school or not. It just depends where everything is at by the time wrestling season comes around.
Has this incident affected you in your life outside of sports at all?
A little, because like a lot of my friends from sports, like from the wrestling team, we don't really like talk anymore because of the whole thing. So.
Why aren't you guys talking
anymore? Because they really liked the coach, and they just like kind of fell off when the whole thing came out.
I'm going to say it how it really is. They're blaming her for the coach being in trouble.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm sure you're aware by now about the update in the case of the young high school wrestler, the girl who was competing in a match and reported soon after that she had been assaulted during that match. Then she was informed that her opponent was actually a boy. So this case, it took place in 2025, the actual match, and ever since there have been criminal charges against the male athlete in that wrestling match, and there's a civil case currently going on. In Washington state, it is mandatory that any allegations of SA are reported to the police. The school has a duty to report it. Whether or not they believe that the allegations are substantiated or not, if an allegation is made, they have to report it. The young lady at the center of this case is Callie Keeler. She is the one who ended up reporting it to the school resource officer, who are members of law enforcement. Because the school didn't report it, there were no updates about what was going on with the case, with the investigation or anything like that. And only then was it reported by the school, especially after the press got a hold of it. Brandy Cruz has been reporting this story from day one. She reports on cases in Washington state in particular. When she started asking questions and asking about when it was reported and all of that, suddenly it was reported.
Now know that 2 school officials have been charged with failure to report. Jason Smith, who is the high school principal, and Peter Collins, who is the athletic director at Rogers. We know they failed to report. It wasn't even in dispute. We had the emails where Callie's mother was following back up with the coach saying, hey, my daughter says this happened. Has she already informed you? What's going to be done about it? And then we know, based on our reporting, that 2 months went by. We emailed the school. Shortly after we emailed the school to inquire about why this had not been reported to the police, they finally notified the school resource officer, which started a criminal investigation 2 months too late.
So Callie was only 15 at the time. She signs up for a wrestling match, something she has been doing for years, from a very young age. To her knowledge, she had signed up to compete against girls. This wasn't co-ed wrestling. This is a girls' competition, and she was competing for 3rd place. So soon into this match, things seemed to be going okay at first, but towards the end, she alleged that she experienced inappropriate touching beyond what is appropriate for wrestling. Yes, we know there's a lot of touching in wrestling and things happen, but she said that this was prolonged. This stood out to her. This is something that has never happened to her before in wrestling. She's well aware of what takes place during a wrestling match. The touching, the insertion of fingers and that sort of thing was inappropriate, and she believed that she had been assaulted while she thought that she was competing against the girl. So a coach from another team informs her that you were competing against a boy, by the way, which only compounds the distress that she was already experiencing. Not only was she not informed and given an opportunity to consent to this madness, she ends up competing against this person, and the very thing that we're told never happened, happened. Or at least there is an allegation of this happening. And because this is wrestling, law enforcement decided that no charges were necessary, that this was hard to prove, that the touching was outside of the usual realm of wrestling, which is obviously a very tactile sport. So, okay, no charges for the male athlete, but the school, objectively speaking, didn't report it in a timely fashion. There are emails, there's a timeline of when they were made aware of the incident in the first place and when they finally reported it. So objectively speaking, they did not report it, and it is mandatory, and now they're being charged. So the principal and athletic coordinator of Rogers High School in Puyallup have been accused of a gross misdemeanor for allegedly failing to notify authorities after a wrestler reported that she had been SA'd by her trans opponent during a match. By her male opponent, who had no business competing in a girls' competition, or in the very least, any girl who was going to compete against this person should have been informed that they were competing against a male and been given an opportunity to consent. That in itself is criminal, if you ask me. So we have Principal Jason Smith, 55, and Athletic Coordinator Peter Collins, 49. They have been charged as of July 21 in Pierce County District Court with failure to comply with the mandatory reporting law. An arraignment hearing was set for August 3 for the defendants to enter a plea to the charge. So the coach reported the alleged incident on December 8, 2 days after the wrestling match occurred. She reported it via email. The coach's name is Miss Scott.
I had initially thought, why isn't the coach being charged with failure to report? But now in reading this, I understand why. So the coach is Miss Scott, just so you can get your bearings here. So Miss Scott, the coach, had forwarded the email from Callie Keeler's mother.
And the athletic director copied the principal and said to the coach, assured the coach that it will be handled. And that's the information she relayed back to the family, that it is being taken care of. But 2 months go by and the family have heard nothing. Callie has heard nothing. And that's when they ask for a follow-up. What's going on? What's the status of the investigation? Nothing. And because 2 months have gone by and nothing has happened, Callie started asking, whether she should just go and report it directly. She decided, yes, she's the one who needs to report it. She went to the school resource officer and reported the alleged sexual assault. So then it's been reported to law enforcement, which is what the school resource officer is. And then there's an investigation by the school. But this is 2 months after, and it's only because Callie had to report it herself. And by then, she has spoken to news outlets, such as Brandy Cruz. So the press are aware of it now and asking questions. So suddenly now it's in the hands of law enforcement when it should have been in the hands of law enforcement a lot sooner. So on January 30, the Rogers wrestler completed a school incident report according to court documents. That day, prosecutors say Smith first notified a school resource officer of the potential incident and asked the officer to review the video of it. The officer generated the first law enforcement report of the incident. Smith allegedly told the officer the Rogers wrestler's mother had spoken to him in December, but that she did not mention an SA. So the principal is saying that although he did receive knowledge of this incident from the mother, because she sent emails and he was copied in, he is saying that there was no mention of SA. So what exactly was the mother reporting then, that her daughter took part in a wrestling match? This is what the principal told law enforcement. Brandy Cruz alleges that was a lie.
Callie Keeler decides, I'm going to take it upon myself. I'm going to do a school incident report. And then all of a sudden, the principal is going to the school resource officer 2 months in and saying, hey, I talked to the mom back in December, but nobody mentioned anything about a sexual assault. That's a lie. That's why I'm surprised that there's not an additional charge in here for lying to law enforcement, because the school resource officer is a member of law enforcement.
So it wasn't until February 12 that the principal, Smith, reported the incident to the Department of Children, Youth and Families. According to court documents, he said he learned about the incident during a phone call with the Rogers wrestler's mother on December 9, 2025. Prosecutors said that conflicted with his statement to the school resource officer. Michael Stewart, the attorney for Smith, said, Jason is a former principal of the year for the state of Washington and has a strong reputation for building a culture and climate that fosters staff and student success. Jason has faith in our legal system to get it right and looks forward to presenting his defense in court. The athletic director hasn't made any comment. And this is what Alliance Defending Freedom had to say. Alliance Defending Freedom is representing Callie Keeler in a civil lawsuit for allowing this to occur in the first place. There's a reason why we have a girls category and a boys category, especially for sports like wrestling, for goodness sake. And when you don't inform these girls that they're going to be competing against boys, you are taking their protections away from them. So Alliance Defending Freedom said the Pierce County prosecutors have taken a critical step to address the school district's failure to promptly report the essay on Callie Keeler last December. School officials should protect their students, not erasing their privacy and safety, and then ignore them when they report sexual assault. Although the police have said that there's no essay, that this is just wrestling, the video is not appropriate for YouTube. So in these situations, it's not up to the school to decide whether they think there's any merit to the allegations and therefore decide whether they're going to report it based on that. If there's an allegation, it must be reported, regardless of what the school thinks. I think there is a lot of evidence to suggest that the school definitely dropped the ball in regards to the reporting, because it wasn't reported until 2 months later.
I just don't like being painted as someone who doesn't support the community, because we do. But also, I don't support what happened to my daughter, and I don't support, biological males and women's sports. There's just too many differences between, males and females after puberty hits, and it takes away from them and puts them in precarious situations and, potential situations to be hurt and injured and, have things like what happened to my daughter happen.
I've been friends with them since I was a little kid, so I don't really report it to the school because
I don't think she's in a position where she feels like she can trust anyone to go to at the school to report it, because they didn't do anything with any of the reports prior to, the things that are happening now. So I don't necessarily feel like she can go to anyone and talk to anyone.
There needs to be accountability. These school districts need to be held accountable. Stop being reckless with the safety of these young girls. Stop luring them into situations that they did not consent to. Girls sign up for girls' competitions. They don't sign up to compete against boys pretending to be girls. There are consequences to that, and we're seeing these consequences. So I hope this sends a clear message. Protect your female athletes and don't put them in this situation in the first place. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video. And a huge thanks to all of those who have hyped my videos. It is greatly appreciated.